And now, more Utalk. Now.
I'm stoked about the show today. Great new friend who's going to be joining us. Some cool stuff to talk about. Our guest on today's show builds, watch this, a new age musical bridge between classic EDM and colorful chords home to the symphony orchestra. I got to know more about that. I don't know about you. Duncan Anderson is an actor by day as well as a teacher. We're going to find out how he balances all this. His DJ moniker is Dunk Moda. And there he is. Great to have you on Utalk.
Thanks, Steve. How's it going, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Good to see you again. It's been a while. When was it? November? We were at that red carpet album release party?
Something like that, yeah. It was, I think, mid-November, yeah.
Yeah. So you've been busy since then?
Yeah. Was working on funny things, Steve. I've actually got a debut premiere of one of my role in General Hospital tomorrow.
No way.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's just a day player, but who knows what could happen.
Absolutely. It's a start, man. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to have a little chat and see what's going on.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked that you're here, man. And I want to hear all of this because you've got so much going on, and we'll come back to it. But, how do you balance all that stuff? But first question that's, I don't know why, as I was thinking about the show today and having you on, is there, music is such a big part of your life. Is there a musical artist in history, I don't care, living or not living, who you'd like to hang out with, and why?
It's actually funny. One of my biggest inspirations for the music that I create and the music that I love to listen to even nowadays is Avicii. I know back in 2018, he unfortunately passed away.
Yeah.
And that was such... It really affected me, but his melodies, he was very in tune with the harmony and the melody in EDM, right? Because modern very bassy in the lower parts of the sound spectrum. So the fact that he could still have a radio pop hit that is EDM and also be such a popular basket, I guess.
Yeah,
also
sure.
It's very, very, it hits home for a lot of people. It's that nostalgia, which I guess it's memorable. It's still new with what he was doing, before he had passed. But so I think it would be him. I think I'd have to choose him. Interesting.
Well, I would say now that I know that, I can see that influence.
Thank you.
In your life and in your music. And this whole, you consider, I was reading your bio and it says you consider your music melodically melancholy, which is an interesting combination of terms.
Thank you. Yeah.
But then you go on to say, as you curate abstract and sad lyrics, and if we stop there, I go, oh, but then you continue and go linked with uplifting, feel-good, underlying composition. All right, unpack it for me, please.
Okay, so I'm a really big fan of symbolism and a juxtaposition. Okay. I really think if I'm able to correlate a link somehow, more in the minor scales, really uplifting, kind of euphoric sounds, a lot of pads, a lot of harmony, those super saws, kind of underlying composition. But the music instrumentally makes you feel good. But the lyrics are a lot more, at least how I can describe it, it really is in memory, it's abstract, it really wants you to kind of take a second and think and almost look at the lyrics as a separate entity and then kind of see the music as instrumental with my production, as well as two separate entities mean two different things, but then when you put them together, they're completely new. And that's really what I aspire to do with music. I want music to almost be like you're watching a film, but without the visuals. I want there to be sound effects. I want there to be Foley. I want there to be dynamics. I want there to be different feels. I want there to be key changes. I want there to be a lot of different surprises, a lot of things that you wouldn't really expect, like life. Yeah, I think that my music, I'm trying my best to emulate a microcosm in my music, of which is the macrocosm of life, I guess.
Okay, go. It's interesting because what you're describing to me, and I'm not as familiar with your music as I would have liked to have been before we had this conversation. So it's going to drive me to go back because we can have another conversation. I think there's more than enough to talk about on one show. But, grabbing a hold, where you're getting people to think and you're getting people, it sounds to me like you're getting people to think as they feel.
Yes.
and then put that together, and there's that underlying foundation. And I think we need more of that today.
I appreciate
I really do.
Nail it on the head, Steve, with think and feel in any different way, right? There are no really wrong answers. I also really pride myself whenever I create my music or get any feedback or criticism is that it's very subjective. Not lyrically, but instrumentally. And I definitely think with a lyrical phrase or a chorus that has a completely different meaning on paper can be translated and kind of funneled into a whole entire different meaning. It's like if you were to look at the sunrise or the sunset, right?
Sure.
They're very similar colors, but they both mean very different things.
Now, I'm listening to you talk, Duncan, and it almost begs the question, where does your inspiration come from? Is it life experience? Is it interacting with people, or all of the above and more?
So it's actually interesting. In terms of my music, I got a lot of inspiration from movies. Because movies have really, growing up, they were there for me when no one else was. And I really love the roller coaster of emotion, the roller coaster of ups, downs, subjectivity, symbolism, literary elements, basically, like to have these all these almost sporadic and chaotic emotions in one context. I think that's beautiful. And I think a lot of movies have that, where you can kind of dig deep and enjoy a lot of different emotions with one movie, with one plot and one setting, right? It's like world building, right?
Yeah, and you're getting immersed in the story. I love films like that are immersive, where they're grabbing you, and it's like they're not going to let you go. And you get to the end of the film, and you're still going, "Whoa, oh, okay." It's now I got to take some time to reflect, and that's interesting. So is it just life experiences, life in general? I mean, because let's face it, we live in a crazy upside down world. I mean, there's so much going on. You never know what's going to happen next.
I guess I'm just a really, really big lover and believer of contrast.
Okay.
I think in life, right, and this is very more, I guess, along the lines of a philosophical ideology, but in order for there to be good times, you have to have bad times, because without the times would be meaningless. And I think if you have, like I said, really weird, sad, kind of melancholic lyrics with an underlying track that's a lot more bouncy, gets you on your grooves, right? It's that harmony of almost like, it's a beautiful sadness or vice versa. And it could be like a really, really happy, beautiful sadness or a really sad happiness. And I think that subjectivity that comes along with the juxtaposition, right? The linking of two very different things is just so interesting to me.
Yeah, it's fascinating the way you're describing it, just a sad happiness, and the contrast. I mean, you used that word earlier, contrast, and that juxtaposition of terms. I like the depth that you're describing.
Thank you. I'm really big science junkie. I love science. And I'm a lot more like a physics nerd when it comes to the actual acoustics and sound. The frequencies of sound that actually travel through the vacuum of space. And that also really is to be able to tell a story with energy, basically.
Yes.
Bender. And the actor in me, when I put my actor hat on, is the emotional bender. Okay. And the musician in me is the energy bender. And I think both are sides of the same coin, but to be able to mix and modulate whenever I please, I feel like it's very fulfilling task for me.
Oh, see, and that's awesome that it's fulfilling for you. I mean, because you want your audience to be engrossed in the story, and people love stories.
Right.
I do a lot of motivational speaking, and I realize like when I'm at schools, and of course I bring my drums because that's kind of a hook, and that's another, hat I wear and all that stuff. But to get students engrossed in a story and taking them on a journey, and that's what you're describing to me through your music, is you're taking us, the audience, on a journey. And you're trying to get us to think about something. And I don't know, in our culture today, it seems like more time than not, it's like we can just kind of cruise. We're not really thinking. We're absorbing stuff, but we're not even processing it because it's coming so fast at us.
Right, exactly. And you're not really able to extrapolate a lot of feelings and scenarios that much. Like it's kind of what's in front of your face, what's in front of your person is very that's all there is. That's your win. I
that's
feel
a reality.
Exactly. And to go on an adventure, to go on a roller coaster that you're kind of consuming or being curated or facilitated by an artist, I think that's really powerful and it doesn't come lightly. And I think, if I'm really touched and very appreciative and grateful for anyone who listens to my music or watches the things that I'm in, but I would also do it even if there was no audience, because I love feeling and how, it makes me just so in love with life to be able to, even if you look at it again philosophically, right? For my acting, right? I'm not going to live forever. No one is. And to be able to kind of engulf different characters and love and be in someone else's shoes for a little bit is very therapeutic to me. And I feel like whether you're watching it or you're actually in the act of doing it, it's very therapeutic and very healing. It's very healing.
Yes. And that's so needed. That is so needed today. I mean, I want to go back to something you said earlier, if you don't mind, that films were there for you when you were younger, when no one else was.
Yes. So growing up, I lived in the Midwest. I lived in Ohio, and I wasn't treated the best in social scenarios. It's kind of a different day, but I was really not in the best frame of mind and in the best space. It was very difficult, and I think my only escape, my only go-to were the movies. In the cinema or at home on DVD. It was just those, I felt like I could do anything after watching a movie. And that is, again, very powerful within itself and it is very deep and ingrained in me. And I think, the reason why I moved out to LA and, in the very beginning, because actually next week is my 10-year anniversary living out here.
Oh, very cool.
I was 15 when I moved out with my family, and now I'm 25. And I guess, there's something I wanted to revisit that you had said originally. How is it juggling a lot of things, right? And, for those of you on here that don't know, besides the acting and the DJing that has been disclosed already, I'm actually a teacher. I teach 6th grade. And that is kind of another acting job within itself. I really value what I say to the kids, and hopefully they value what is being given in terms of, knowledge, empathy, wisdom, stuff like that. They're very lenient with my kids. I'm not super strict, but I really want them to learn, and I really promote self-starting. So I want them to be able to think on their own. And don't get me wrong, I mean, 6th grade is young, but also they're a lot smarter than I think the average adult. Absolutely. 6th graders believes them to be, right? And that's something I really, really take to heart. And I really think that, if I can inspire them to do things that they may not have thought of doing before, then my job is done. My job as an educator in that pedagogue kind of chair is very important. And I think I've also learned a lot by teaching the kids too.
Interesting. Yeah. And, well said. I appreciate your attitude as a teacher, because I think sometimes we don't give teachers enough credit for the impact that they can have.
Right.
Especially younger ones, like you're talking about that middle school kind of, tween going into a teen, and to have somebody who's going to get them to think, who's going to motivate them, who's going to challenge them. Right. Because we don't give them enough credit. It's again, a side hack of mine with the music is giving drum lessons. Right. And I have a 12-year-old student who just blows my mind. Right. He starts talking about stuff, and I'm going, this guy he's grasping things I wasn't grasping when I was 12 years old. Of course, my whole focus was music, but it's just interesting. He makes all these things, and it's not, and being in the classroom, it's not like this, blah, 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 nonsense kind of talking. It's like sometimes I'm going, whoa, time out, dude. My brain is hurting, Let me take a brain breather.
Today, a student of mine who has been not applying himself, had a discussion with me, or at least not applying himself as much as where I think he could be, or for being in 6th grade. And he told me he was doing this whole entire report on aerospace and astrophysics. Like, whoa, and everything he was saying, just by my own searching in my own, education that I like to dive deep and go down these rabbit holes sometimes, everything he was saying was absolutely correct. 100%.
Wow.
And
wow.
Talking about light years and the distance and Roche's limit and all these very, very complex ideologies that he just knew and could pick up on it easily and can also implement it in a discussion with an adult. I thought that was it blew my mind. I was incredibly impressed. So
that's awesome. I mean, that we've got so much potential in this generation. Yeah. If we can refocus them, if we can get them to find that aha experience in their life, this is what I like to do, and encourage that, I mean, I love being able to go into schools and speak and interact with students when I'm there. And I love giving drum lessons. Sure. And it's just having, because it's refreshing. It energizes me, and I'm hoping it energizes them. And I'm sure you see that now. So you're teaching like 5 days a week, is that correct?
Yep.
Whoa.
It's tough, but also it kind of gives me the motivation and the drive to keep doing the acting and the DJing. Because
sure.
Not just for me anymore. Not saying that it's for my students, but it's for something bigger than myself, mm-hmm. right? And I'm not acting or the DJing for anything other than to tell good stories. I was a receiver of good stories way back when, and still to this day. And I would be honored to be able to tell extreme and very good, inspirational, entertaining, innovative, informative stories as well.
Oh, I love what you're saying. This whole aspect of being an inspiration, and I guess the amount that I interact with this generation, whether it's here in the U.S. or overseas someplace or whatever, sure. They're looking for that. They want that. They're looking for that person that can inspire them in a positive way, that believes in them,
right?
That hopes for them.
Right.
That is so cool. Okay, now, question, do you have the flexibility where you teach, where, like, if you've got an acting gig, you can say, hey, tomorrow I'm not going to be here type of thing? How does that work?
So usually with the tier of my acting that I'm doing right now, I'll know if I book a project within a few weeks.
Okay.
It's a lot easier than the next day or even a couple days afterwards. But, usually I talk to the CCO and she's super generous and accommodating of things like that. But in general, it's not super easy, but with the attributes that I have, that I've worked really hard to obtain and to achieve, it's a little more on the convenient side, and they're doing me a favor. Good. You know what I mean? It's an even. Yeah. And then forgot to mention, without leaving any music territory, besides the DJing live, I actually am also a music producer. I sing on some of my own tracks, and I produce them songs that I'll play in the clubs occasionally. So
nice.
It's not only just scratching other people's music live or implementing files that are other people. I also produce and create original music. I'm really, really fortunate to be able to do and to implement that in kind of a mixture. This sprinkle in the seasoning of a couple of my own tracks. And could be a nostalgic set of EDM from 2010 to 2015. Sure. All the David Guettas and the Aviciis and Calvin Harris, Martin Garrix, Zed, all the glory days from EDM. You know what I mean? Yep. And then a song of mine, kind of mix and match some really cool acapellas and other things. I think is just
sweet.
It's really fun. So
no, absolutely. Well, hey, we'll have to, maybe we can work on a project together sometime.
Cool. I know you're a wicked drummer, so. I'll chat with you about that some other time.
No, that would be really fun. And it's interesting because the last few years, the drum kit has always been kind of my go-to. That's where my rep has been, and I've got that rep. You can bring Steve in at the last minute and he can make it happen and all that. And then I started getting people saying, hey, can you do some hand perk? Can you do some hand percussion?
Wow.
And I said, sure. And I got a good buddy who doesn't live far away, who's like he's one of the greatest hand percussionist guys in the world today. I mean, you name somebody, he's played with them, toured with them, recorded with them, whatever.
Wow.
And he's been a great inspiration. Come back to that, for me and getting me to where I'm proficient. And I think the last few sessions I've done have all been hand percussion.
Oh, wow.
But that's just the way it worked out, But no, it would be fun. I'd love to be involved in something you're doing sometime. It just because I like what you're doing. I like your attitude. I like just who you are with this, and you've got just a different vibe. You've got a very cool vibe. Now, you say your music gives the listener, let me see if I can get this right, an opportunity to self-reflect. And you mentioned this, take the music in subjectively. You mentioned that a few minutes ago. Why do you think it's important for us to be more self-reflective today?
Because I think it allows the psyche to not only become more empathetic, but to become more in tune with, no pun intended, more in tune with your emotions and your mind and even your body. I mean, I think, being self-reflective is an extremely healthy, I guess, task, or it's an extremely healthy and respectable thing that should be on the to-do list every day. And it's not, at a certain time or day, but, and you can multitask as well.
Absolutely.
Like when I'm acting, I'm able to find certain things about myself that I didn't even, I had in my subconscious when I'm acting. And keep in mind, I wasn't acting anything, I had a character that I was given. Obviously, I brought parts of me to it, but to self-reflect as the character or in general, but as the character can also help me kind of self-reflect and compare, mix and match different things. And I really think that's important. So I definitely think the self-reflection is something that is not, I don't want to say it's not seen as commonly, but it's not seen in the right frequency, I don't think.
Okay.
It doesn't take much to look back and to process things, really.
Okay.
And you can, like I said, you can do it when you're running, you can do it when you're working out, you can do it when you're getting ready for bed. It's just these things that I think I've noticed for me in my life. It's almost like the mental check-ins, and it could be,
sure.
It's kind of complicated within how I've kind of been doing it lately, but just being able to reflect and to acknowledge difference, to acknowledge change in certain environments in your everyday life, in certain scenarios, I think is extremely important.
I like what you're saying, because I think in some cases, sometimes you kind of assume, okay, I need to be self-reflective. I need to take some time to self-reflect. Okay, but getting it in bits and pieces, that's such a great concept. And it's freeing because, like you said, you could be out there jogging and do some self-reflection. I could be playing my drums, acting, and I think that's a very freeing thing. At least it sounds like to me.
It also can, I guess, support and influence better self-love, self-respect, emotion. Like I said earlier, being able to kind of be in that realm, and it also promotes a lot of, healthier thoughts, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
The media, the attention span's gotten to become so minute, and I think it's almost like this mental check-in, this tune can also enforce and promote a lot of empathy. And I think empathy is one thing. If I had one wish for an attribute to kind of be more seen in a widely spread scenario today, I definitely think empathy is something that would be at the top of my list for sure. I definitely think we all are empathetic, and we all are not sympathetic, but empathetic, to be able to be there for someone and give the allotted time that we all give back. And it's, in all deserve in a lot of ways. I definitely think it's a much better and much healthier place.
Good word. I mean, that is, I think if we were all more empathetic, it would change the world.
Yes.
Because there's just this viciousness, and there's the, bullying stuff, that is, I don't know if you caught this last week. There was another school shooting, first day back from break. And, I heard some older adults, we had some volunteers helping us do something. And immediately it's, those video games. Well, when you dig into this story, this poor guy had been bullied from the time he was in elementary school. Now he's in high school. And then his younger sister is getting bullied. And I'm not saying it's right what he did. It's never right to take somebody else's life like that. But it was like, and he went to the school authorities. They weren't going to help. I mean, it was like, I don't know what, I guess this is my only out.
Right.
And that whole bullying thing could be totally turned upside down.
Right.
If we were more empathetic. Good word. Okay, now you and I talked about, I don't know if you're prepared to do it. We talked about the possibility of you showcasing a new track.
Yeah, I'm actually already set up here.
Oh, cool. Let's do it if you're ready.
I'll play you a little bit, and I want to kind of showcase something that, based on our prior conversation we had just now, I could show you. I have a little vocoder I made. Okay. It's a vocoder with computer emulated vocals. So I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to chat about it, and then I'll go into the next part of the song, okay?
Cool. Sounds great.
Because they are light of frequency, if they are not of their frequency, how can you be in tune with the world?
Okay, so I don't know if you can make much of that out over Instagram Live, but it basically said when your world is like a frequency, and you got to keep in check of your feelings, because your feelings are like a frequency.
Okay.
If they're not in the frequency, how could you be a part of your world, basically? So how can your frequency be in tune? So it's a reference on music and life. So it's kind of a double entendre there. And then it goes into this really, really, really cool dynamic part where it's euphoric, it's very fun. So here, let me play that for you. But I just kind of, to be that open-ended is what I was looking for something
Nice.
that's also artificial and computer emulated, but also has this very realistic, abstract ideology that is a lot harder to grasp, especially from something that's artificial or technological from the computer.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Here, I'll play it again.
Feelings first, because they are light of frequency. If they are not in their frequency, how can you be in tune with the world?
Don't know you, but I am sick and tired of the times I've spent searching for your shadow. Don't know about you, but when I fall asleep, I'll be dreaming far away. I want you by my side.
So yeah, a little sneak peek that I have of a song I wrote called Runaway. A very uplifting dance track, kind of like we were talking about in the beginning, but with melancholic lyrics. And I really try and stand by that in a lot of things that I do. Because, the first line of the verse that I'm singing is, don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of the times we spent searching for your shadows.
Oh, so
I love
it.
Open-ended, very euphoric, atmospheric, but specific context when it's correlated to the instrumental underneath.
So the title is Runaway. We're looking for it.
Yes.
I love it. And I love that. And I'm just digging the frequency concept, that melting in with music frequency, life frequency. We don't think about our life frequency.
Yeah, that's Runaway.
And I'm assuming this is going to be on all the major platforms?
Yes, sir. Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, everything.
I got to check it out. Where can we check out more of your music?
So I'm already on a lot of other platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Music, all the bigger ones. Tidal, too. It's at Dunkmoda, at DUNKMODA. And you can kind of see it showcases a lot of the themes similar to this and a lot of other very intricate and carefully crafted themes and motifs that I think are very important and that place of a lot of trial and error and emotion and truth, I think.
Well, and it's contemplative. You're pulling us in as an audience, and we can process this. It's that subjectiveness. It's that contemplation. it's that experience. It's saying, it's like, aha, yeah, he's talking about me. I'm sick and tired of.
Yep.
Oh, brilliant. I will look forward to checking out some more. Website and social media for you.
My social media, Instagram, a lot of basically all the other platforms is Dunk, D-U-N-K, Del, D-E-L, Fuego, F-U-E-G-O. As regarding of the website, that's still in the works, but most of it you can find. All my social media accounts are linked under the Dunk Del Fuego name, but if there's any other social media that has a different username, it should be in the links of the other social media.
Okay, nice, good. Because I want to encourage people to get involved, and experience and steal the title here a little bit. Run away,
yes,
for a few minutes. Let's run away. I mean, I'm digging it, and I think you can. Our audience tends to be teens, young adults, but I think anybody can relate to that if they just take the time. And I try to get my students to explore different genres.
Sure.
Because I think it makes you a healthier person. I think it makes you a better musician. It makes you a better player. We have our faves, I like this, I have to do this, but I'm constantly hounding my students. Okay, this week, what is that song? Just one song you're going to listen to that is just a totally different genre that's normally yours, and then tell me what you learned from it.
Right.
I love it. It's just great stuff. Let's go back to the acting for a moment, because we didn't touch on that. How did you get started? You started everything as an actor,
yes,
did you not?
I kind of developed music during at least taking it more seriously during COVID. But acting, I've actually been an actor. Gosh, as soon as I moved out here, really, I moved out here. Roughly 24 national commercials.
Cool.
A couple of TV shows, been in a couple movies. So definitely a lot of fulfilling things there that I'm very grateful and fortunate to be able to have done. A couple of examples. I don't know if you know those found footage horror anthology movies.
Yeah.
I was in the VHS that came out in 2022. Oh. I got to play a really goofy character. Experiences in 1015 on Hulu, Generation on HBO Max. So I think they took that down, but it should still be available to stream somewhere. And then, I've been in a couple other things. I have General Hospital appearance, like I said at the beginning.
How do you balance all of this? Because it sounds to me like you're digging the acting, you're digging the DJing and teaching. And they're different.
I definitely think I like to dip my toe in a lot of different waters.
Okay.
Because I'm a really big believer and supporter of versatility.
Okay.
I think as a human being, the more versatile you'll be in your crafts. I also I like to imagine that all experiences are like lightning bugs, and I'll take them and capture them in these experiences in whatever setting I'm in, and kind of keep them in a little lightning bug in a jar and use it and bring it out and have it shine whenever I feel like it's necessary.
Nice.
Obviously, that's a little bit more of an abstract metaphor, but for the analogy purposes, I think it was very within the realm.
Yeah. No, I like it because there is crossover. There is this melting together in a sense there. So, what a great opportunity to have all of these different things. You're influencing people in different ways. You've had some cool shots at films and TV things and commercials. And do you ever feel like you're being pulled and stretched in too many different directions?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like I'm exhausted, but I also really kind of thrive on that energy. I really act well under that energy, whether it's being under pressure or just being constantly having to organize my schedule and being booked and a multitude of different things. It keeps me busy and it keeps my mind at ease, actually. So
okay, sure. No, I get it. I definitely get it. And I know for me, and it sounds like you're in a similar way, it's energizing, when you've got these different things going on and yet they all kind of ebb and flow together. And I just thrive on being creative and being in a creative environment, being with other creatives and creating things.
I may not be able to acting every day at this point. I may not be able to do DJing every day, or I may not be able to teach every day, but I'm able to be creative every day. And I think that's something I really
I like it.
I resonate with that quite a lot.
No, I absolutely resonate with that. That's a good word, and that's a good way of thinking of it, because anybody that's listening, may find themselves not necessarily exact position, but with different things. And if you can do it, I like that. If we can be creative every day, that's energizing. That's motivating. Let's go back to one thing before we lose time. Going back to that beginning for you and how the films were there when nobody else was, nothing else was there for you. And they were escape, but they were more than that. And the story, I guess, talk to that young adult who's struggling. They're facing some things that maybe you faced, maybe you didn't, but there's that loneliness. There's that, does anybody care? Do I really fit? Do I matter? And just one or two things that they can do to help them have a better frequency, have a different journey, to be able to run from some of that.
So every story has a main character, and you may not be the main character of people around you's story, but you're the main character of your story. And if you're afraid to make choices or to be in places that you feel uncomfortable, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, the main character always does things that he or she may regret. And that's fine, because everyone loves the main character. And that shouldn't be any different. You should love yourself. You should respect yourself.
Sure.
You should give yourself the benefit of the doubt, because even though a lot of movies are based on fictional events, they have real scenarios and real connections. And even though if you look at like the Avengers or even movies that take place in the real world setting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to let your light shine in that regard of being okay with every second being passed, right? Take a second, enjoy it, because life's not forever. And like I said before, right? All the bad times make the better times that much more enriched, that much cleaner, that much more that much more exhilarating.
Yeah.
If everything was great, dandy all the time, you wouldn't really even know what to feel, because the contrast of emotions is what gives emotions the power to be able to change.
Well said. Good advice. We're all, at Utalk, we're all about going mad. We affectionately say going and making a difference. And we all can make a difference. And you just described that perfect storm, if you will have it. That we can all be part of, that can be not just an escape, but a motivator for us. So, hey, I appreciate you taking time. I know you are so busy with so many different things. I really didn't even realize all the stuff you were doing, because we haven't really talked that much other than I think you interviewed me or something at that album release party, and we chatted briefly, and it was great. So we'll have to do this again. Keep in touch with us. Let us know what you're doing as you produce new things, and we'll try to let our audience know. Duncan, give us once again social media handle.
Sure. Dunk Del Fuego at DUNKDELFUEGO. And all my music is Dunk Moda, DUNKMODA.
Nice. Got it. Hey, thanks. Great to be with you. We'll look forward to doing it again.
Bye-bye.
This is Utalk Radio.